Welcome back, American coin hunter, in a world where collectors and investors are constantly seeking the rarest, most extraordinary pieces of history. Sometimes, an item once considered common and overlooked can suddenly become one of the most sought-after treasures in existence. Such is the incredible story of the 1996 D1 coin, a small copper-colored piece of metal that once passed unnoticed through countless hands, only to later stun the numismatic world with a record-breaking valuation of $225 million. At first glance, it may appear to be just another Lincoln penny, ordinary in every way, weighing just 2.5 grams, and bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on its obverse. But what lies beneath the surface of this humble coin is a convergence of rarity, historical significance, minting anomalies, and collector obsession that transformed it from pocket change into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. To understand how this happened, we must begin with its most basic elements and work our way deep into the mysteries and magic that make the 1996 D1 coin not just special, but legendary. The year 1996 marked yet another busy period for the United States Mint. Located in Denver, Colorado, the Denver Mint is responsible for producing billions of coins annually, including countless Lincoln cents for general circulation. The D Mint mark under the date indicates the Denver origin of this particular penny, and in that year alone, the Mint struck more than 6.5 billion pennies, a staggering number that reinforces just how unexpected it was for one of these coins to rise to such prominence. The standard specifications for a 1996 D penny are well documented. Its weight is precisely 2.5 grams, composed of a zinc core and a thin copper coating. Since the metal composition change in 1982, U.S. pennies have been made from 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, a cost-saving measure adopted due to the rising price of copper. Despite this switch, the appearance of the coin remained the same, a bright, coppery color, indistinguishable to the average person from earlier all-copper pennies. The obverse design features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has remained on the penny since 1909, when it was introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. At the time, it was revolutionary, the first American coin to depict a real person. Lincoln's right-facing bust shows his serious expression, high cheekbones, and distinctive beard. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust," one of the nation's core mottos. To the left of his profile is the word, "Liberty," and to the right, the year of minting, 1996, with a small D mint mark just below. Though it may seem mundane, every feature of this design is rich with symbolic meaning, a reminder of Lincoln's lasting impact on American values and leadership. The reverse side of the coin, introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears design, features the Lincoln Memorial, another structure deeply associated with the legacy of the 16th president. The designer, Frank Casparo, succeeded in capturing the grandeur of the memorial in surprising detail. The reverse includes the inscription, "United States of America." Across the top edge, the Latin motto, "E pluribus unum," just above the memorial, and the denomination, 1 cent, boldly below. With a magnifying glass, careful observers can actually spot the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, just like the actual statue within the monument in Washington, D.C. It's a subtle but profound artistic flourish that connects the coin's design to real-world history. SOY, among billions of nearly identical coins, did one example of the 1996 D penny fetch a price so astronomical it shattered all previous records? The answer lies in a combination of extremely rare factors that came together in a single extraordinary specimen. This particular coin, while bearing the same outward design as all others, was found to possess a rare error known as a wrong planchet strike. In this case, it was accidentally struck on a bronze planchet left over from earlier minting runs. Since 1982, the Mint had discontinued the use of bronze planchets, yet somehow, one managed to remain hidden in the minting equipment or supply chain and was mistakenly used in 1996. The result was a coin with the appearance of a modern penny, but with the metallic signature of a much older, more valuable version. Further examination revealed that this unique 1996 D penny also featured a double die obverse, a highly sought-after error in the collecting world. This type of error occurs during the die creation process, when a coin die is misaligned and receives a second imprint slightly off from the first. When these dies are used to strike coins, the result is noticeable doubling in the design elements, especially in the letters, numbers, and sometimes even Lincoln's facial features. In this rare penny, the date, the word, Liberty, and parts of Lincoln's profile all showed clear signs of doubling, verified and authenticated by leading grading agencies. But what truly elevated the coin into legendary status was its condition. Unlike most pennies that have circulated through cash registers, pockets, wallets, and vending machines, this coin remained untouched. Experts believe it was pulled directly from the mint or an early bank-issued roll and preserved immediately in a temperature and humidity-controlled environment. It retained its original mint luster, with no signs of handling, corrosion, or environmental damage. As a result, the coin was graded a perfect mint state 70, MS70, by both PCGS and NGC, an almost impossibly high grade for any coin, let alone one over 2 decades old. Only a microscopic handful of coins achieve this level of perfection, and for a penny with known errors and a wrong planchet to do so is virtually unheard of. When this specimen finally surfaced at a private auction, collectors from around the world flocked to compete for it. Bidding was fierce, and the story of the coin began circulating in numismatic forums, social media, and even mainstream news outlets. By the time the final gavel dropped, the winning bid had reached the mind-boggling amount of $225 million, a figure that defied all expectations and instantly made the coin a historic artifact of both monetary and cultural significance. The identity of the winning bidder was never made public, but insiders suggest that it may have been a tech billionaire, a hedge fund magnate, or an international art and artifact investor. For them, acquiring the 1996 D penny was not simply a financial investment, but a chance to own a one-of-a-kind symbol of American history and minting perfection. The sale broke every existing record for coin auctions and led to a massive surge in interest around Lincoln pennies, particularly from the 1990s. Suddenly, rolls of old pennies from 1996, especially those with a D mint mark, became hot commodities. Collectors began searching their old coin jars, safe deposit boxes, and even pockets, hoping to find anything resembling the ultra-rare version that had just changed hands for hundreds of millions. The ripple effect on the numismatic community was profound. Grading services like PCGS and NGC were inundated with new submissions. Coin shops across the country reported record foot traffic. YouTube channels, TikTok videos, and blogs dedicated to coin collecting exploded in popularity. Everyone wanted to know, could they be holding a small fortune in their hand without even realizing it? This sudden wave of interest also reignited discussions around the nature of coin value itself. What makes a coin valuable? Is it the metal it's made of? The rarity of its features? Its historical importance? Or is it simply the story it tells, and the passion it ignites in those who encounter it? In the case of the 1996 D penny, the answer lies in all of these aspects combined. It is not just a coin, it is a fusion of history, craftsmanship, accident, preservation, and myth. And while there may only be one coin like it, its story has inspired a new generation to look more closely at the change in their pockets, to question what hidden treasures might still be out there, and to recognize that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. The fascination with the 1996 D penny did not fade after the auction. In fact, it only intensified. Numismatic scholars, journalists, investors, historians, and even amateur hobbyists became consumed with understanding exactly how such a coin could exist. For some, it was the mystery of the wrong planchet that ignited curiosity. How could a bronze blank, a leftover from the pre-1982 era, have found its way into a modern minting process that had been fully standardized to use zinc cores with copper plating for well over a decade? There are those who believe it was a fluke, an honest error, a rogue blank that had somehow slipped into the automated feed systems of the Denver Mint. But others suggest a more deliberate explanation. Perhaps a curious mint worker, knowledgeable in the historical significance of planchets and errors, quietly introduced the bronze blank into the striking chamber as a personal test, or as a tribute to the era of pure copper pennies. Whether accidental or intentional, the fact remains that a bronze 1996 D penny in pristine, uncirculated condition should never have existed, and yet it does. Even more compelling is the doubling effect on the obverse. The double die error on this coin is not subtle. It's bold, crisp, and easily visible to the naked eye. The word, liberty, appears as if typed twice, shifted slightly. The numbers and the date, 1996, almost seem to vibrate, with distinct shadows to their sides. Lincoln's profile itself appears to ripple at the edges, a visual effect caused by the doubled strike of the die that created the coin. This kind of error, when combined with an off-metal planchet and a flawless preservation state, has never before been recorded in a Lincoln cent from the 1990s. The grading services who handled this coin treated it as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Conservators used state-of-the-art microscopy to confirm the coin's authenticity, verifying its metallurgical composition through X-ray fluorescence tests. They examined the die characteristics, matching it to mint records from 1996 to prove that the doubling occurred during the original striking process and not through post-mint damage. Every step of the evaluation reinforced the same conclusion. This was not just a rare coin, it was quite possibly the rarest penny ever struck in the modern age. In the weeks following the auction, a wave of copycats and scams appeared online. People rushed to sell common 1996 D pennies at inflated prices, claiming their coins were rare, special, or potentially worth millions. Marketplace listings exploded. Coins with minor discoloration or superficial damage were suddenly being promoted as rare mint errors. Grading services issued public statements warning buyers to be careful, to verify certifications, and to understand the extreme rarity of the coin that had actually sold for such an enormous sum. As a result, an educational boom began in the coin collecting community. Collectors, both new and seasoned, started learning the nuances of minting errors. They researched planchet types, studied the characteristics of doubled dies, and developed a sharper eye for spotting genuine anomalies. Some turned to professional training, taking numismatic courses offered by organizations like the American Numismatic Association. Coin clubs reported surging membership numbers, and coin conventions began seeing record attendance. One of the most interesting developments was the media frenzy surrounding the coin. Major news outlets began producing in-depth reports, tracing the history of the Lincoln cent series, and interviewing experts about the impact of the $225 million penny. Documentaries aired on national television, showcasing dramatic reenactments of the coin's discovery and sale. Interviews with appraisers, mint historians, and private collectors flooded the internet. What was once a niche topic of interest had now gone mainstream. People who had never given a second thought to the pennies in their pocket were suddenly checking dates and mint marks with eager anticipation. Parents and children began combing through old jars together, searching for the next miracle find. Teachers even introduced coin identification lessons in classrooms, turning an ordinary coin into a gateway to history, economics, and art. Behind the scenes, the identity of the anonymous seller also became a subject of speculation. Some claimed it was an elderly collector from the Midwest who had quietly amassed thousands of pennies over his lifetime and cataloged them with care. Others suggested it had been found by accident, a penny purchased in a cup of coffee change, tucked away in a kitchen drawer for decades. Regardless of how it was originally acquired, its journey from casual ownership to historic auction was nothing short of astonishing. The coin is now believed to be housed in a climate-controlled vault, insured for an even higher value due to its increasing fame. Experts believe that if the coin were to return to auction in the future, its value could soar past $300 million, driven by the same psychology that fuels the art, diamond, and rare watch markets, the pursuit of the rarest, most pristine examples of human craftsmanship and historical coincidence. While only one 1996 D penny has so far achieved such status, The ripple effect has increased the value of other related specimens. Coins with similar minting errors, even those from different years, are fetching thousands of dollars at auction. A 1996 penny with a mild off-center strike sold for over $4,000 shortly after the $225 million auction. Another, which featured a partial brockage error on the obverse, realized $7,500 at a heritage sale. Collectors have become fascinated with finding even the most obscure defects, turning once ignored flaws into celebrated attributes. Dealers who had once ignored rolls of 1990s pennies have begun reevaluating their inventories, scanning every coin with digital microscopes and specialized lighting systems. In many cases, forgotten back stock has suddenly become incredibly valuable, simply because the market has learned to see what it once ignored. Meanwhile, historians began documenting the coin's story in academic detail. They traced the origin of the bronze planchets used before 1982, mapping their supply chain, storage, and disposal processes. Reports indicate that the Denver Mint, in particular, had a warehouse backlog of blank planchets that were never properly cleared out when the composition change was mandated. These blanks were supposed to have been melted down, repurposed, or discarded, but somehow, a few slipped through the cracks. It is now speculated that several hundred bronze blanks may have remained in the Denver Mint's inventory well into the mid-1990s, and that additional off-metal strikes may yet be discovered. Already, new discoveries are being submitted to grading agencies. A 1996 penny recently surfaced with a slightly heavier weight and a duller, deeper tone than the standard zinc-based cent. It's currently undergoing analysis to determine whether it too was struck on an improper planchet, and if confirmed, it may become the next big story in the ongoing saga of the 1996 Collectors around the globe have started placing premium bounties on these coins. Private collectors have issued public rewards of up to $100,000 for confirmed bronze planchet 1996 DS. Dealers are traveling across states to visit estate sales, flea markets, and garage sales in hopes of discovering one before anyone else. Even international collectors from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East are expressing interest in U.S. pennies, a coin previously overlooked in favor of larger denominations or gold-based rarities. The 1996 has become not just a coin, but a cultural artifact. It represents the fusion of American history, precision minting, human error, and collector fervor. Its story is a reminder that the extraordinary can be found in the most ordinary places. It's a symbol of hidden value, of the treasures that slip through our fingers daily, unnoticed until someone looks closer. As awareness of the coin grows, even popular culture has taken notice. A fictionalized version of the coin appeared in a best-selling crime novel, where the plot revolved around a missing penny worth hundreds of millions. A major streaming platform has announced a limited drama series inspired by the real-life auction, combining historical flashbacks with a modern-day treasure hunt. Merchandise featuring enlarged images of the coin, including t-shirts, posters, and mugs, is now being sold by coin dealers and numismatic museums. And for the first time in decades, young people are becoming interested in coin collecting again, drawn in not by textbooks or museums, but by the intrigue of the 1996 story, the allure of finding something so rare, so valuable, and so utterly unexpected. The implications for the coin industry are far-reaching. Professional grading agencies have invested in better scanning technologies, including artificial intelligence tools that can detect microerrors invisible to the human eye. Educational platforms are partnering with numismatic societies to create online courses in coin authentication. Museums are expanding their exhibits to include interactive coin displays, teaching guests how to recognize mint marks, identify errors, and understand composition differences. Dealers are adapting, shifting from bulk sales to high-end consultation, advising clients on investment-grade coins and portfolio diversification using rare cents, nickels, and dimes. What began with one remarkable penny has become a global movement, all because someone somewhere looked at a simple 1996 D penny and asked, "What if this isn't just a coin?" The evolution of the 1996 D penny from simple currency to cultural icon continues to expand in both depth and intrigue. While collectors and investors remain at the forefront of this financial phenomenon, there is a growing appreciation for the symbolic weight that this coin now carries. Museums, educators, historians, and economists have all started to frame the 1996 D not just as an anomaly in minting history, but as a mirror of American ingenuity, oversight, and obsession. The coin has now become the centerpiece of lectures on American monetary policy, object preservation, and the psychology of value. Why would a single cent, a denomination often discarded or dropped without concern, suddenly command attention that rivals the world's most prized diamonds or artworks? The answer lies in a perfect alignment of factors that are, each in their own right, rare. But together, they are historic. Economists often point out that money is only as valuable as we believe it is. The 1996 D penny proves this principle in the most vivid way imaginable. While it was minted for use in everyday transactions, to help pay for a loaf of bread, a bottle of soda, or a postage stamp, its trajectory was shaped not by its role in commerce, but by the stories it carried. A rare error, a unique planchet, a perfect preservation grade, a decades-long disappearance, and a dramatic reintroduction to the public through a $225 million sale. These layers have turned this coin into something more than money. It is now a narrative, a symbol, a time capsule, and for some, even a kind of modern relic. For numismatists, its value is tangible and measurable. But for culture at large, its worth has become metaphysical. Even mythic.at coin shows across the country, the 1996 D has taken on legendary status. Booths displayed large-format posters of the coin, complete with magnified close-ups showing the doubling on the date, the specific luster patterns, and the unique coloration that sets it apart from its zinc counterparts. People line up just to view high-quality reproductions or authenticated photographs of the coin. Some shows have introduced holographic exhibits and VR experiences, allowing visitors to virtually handle the coin, rotate it, and zoom in on every fine detail, an opportunity most would never have in person. Professional graders give seminars titled, "How to Spot the Next 1996 D," where they walk audiences through the subtle and technical differences between a rare strike and a standard issue. These sessions have become so popular that they're now being live-streamed to thousands of viewers online, turning what was once a niche interest into a growing community of informed and enthusiastic collectors. The digital space has responded to the hype as well. TikTok creators post short clips explaining the mystery of the coin, often starting with dramatic music and phrases like, "Don't spend this penny," or "Check your change now." YouTube videos analyze every aspect of the coin, comparing known versions, breaking down error types, and evaluating coins sent in by viewers hoping they've stumbled upon a similar gem. Instagram accounts post daily close-up shots of different error coins, with hashtags like #pennyhunt, #1996D, and #Lincoln trending among coin enthusiasts. Even Twitter has seen viral threads about the coin, with experts answering questions from intrigued readers and encouraging them to research their pocket change before dismissing it. Meanwhile, private collectors continue to hunt for variations and possible siblings of the $225 million coin. Theories circulate that the one found so far may not be alone, that other bronze planchet pennies from 1996 D exist but remain hidden in forgotten collections, unsearched rolls, or family heirlooms. Large-scale hunts have been launched across the U.S., with individuals and dealers offering to buy sealed bank rolls of 1996 D sent sight unseen, hoping to score a similar jackpot. One collector reportedly bought over 10,000 rolls from Midwestern banks just to increase their odds. While none have yet turned up another exact match, some exceptional examples with partial errors or slightly heavier weights have emerged, fueling further speculation. And then, there is the psychological phenomenon that this coin has awakened. Across communities, there's been a revival in the appreciation of small things. Coins that once lived forgotten in glass jars are now being examined with excitement and curiosity. Grandparents are handing over old coin albums to grandchildren. Friends are trading duplicates, cataloging discoveries, and building digital archives. Teachers assign coin projects in class not just to teach math or history, but to encourage the idea that something seemingly insignificant can hold great meaning. The 1996 penny, in this way, has become a lesson in patience, observation, and value. It tells the world that we never truly know what treasures might lie unrecognized in our possession. From a legal standpoint, the case of the $225 million coin has also prompted new interest in coin authentication, asset taxation, and provenance verification. Legal experts in rare collectibles are being hired to ensure that coins of this magnitude have full documentation, verified chain of ownership, and correct valuation procedures for insurance and estate purposes. Auction houses have implemented stricter protocols for evaluating and certifying coins, and some financial advisors now include rare coin investment options in high-net-worth asset portfolios. While previously thought to be the domain of hobbyists, coin collecting has emerged as a legitimate and potentially explosive investment sector. But what truly separates the 1996 penny from all others is the human story behind it. This wasn't a coin minted to be rare. It wasn't produced in a limited run or made as a special edition. It was created in a year when over 6.5 billion pennies rolled off production lines. The Denver Mint was focused on volume, efficiency, and consistency. And yet, in the middle of that mechanical perfection, one small deviation, a leftover blank from a prior era, passed through unnoticed. That planchet was struck by a die slightly misaligned, possibly due to overuse or improper setup. The result was a coin with doubling on its most identifiable markings. But even then, its uniqueness would have meant little if the coin had entered circulation. One drop into a cash register drawer, one trip through a coin sorter, or 1 year bouncing in a pocket could have dulled its surfaces or worn down its sharpness. But somehow, this coin avoided all that. It stayed untouched, frozen in time, sealed away from wear, heat, moisture, and skin oils. The chain of chance events required for that to happen is nearly incomprehensible. It's like winning the lottery multiple times in a row. And that is why, to those who understand its journey, the 1996 penny is more than a coin. It's a miracle. In the months after the record-breaking auction, even the U.S. Mint responded. Though careful not to make any statements that might be interpreted as encouraging speculation or secondary markets, Mint officials did confirm that planchet inventory audits were ongoing and that historical material reviews were being conducted. Some retired Mint workers were interviewed in follow-up articles, sharing their experiences from the 1990s and admitting that planchet segregation and disposal practices weren't always perfect. In one such interview, a former Denver Mint technician recalled seeing boxes of mixed planchets from earlier decades stored in remote parts of the warehouse, often left untouched for years. While he didn't specifically recall bronze planchets being used in 1996, he didn't rule it out, either. These confirmations only added more legitimacy to the $225 million coin story and inspired further investigation into minting records, shipment logs, and production anomalies from that year. Back in the collector world, there is now a movement to create a definitive catalog of all 1996 penny varieties. This ambitious project aims to photograph, measure, weigh, and analyze thousands of examples to document every known variation, from the most subtle to the most dramatic. Using AI and machine learning, image recognition software is being trained to detect microerrors invisible to the naked eye. The ultimate goal is to create a permanent digital registry of known 1996 D errors, along with provenance records, serial identifications, and an open-access database for use by collectors, historians, students, and investors. The idea is not just to find another $225 million coin, but to preserve the rich complexity and evolving narrative that the 1996 D penny represents. What began as one coin has become a legacy of curiosity, knowledge, preservation, and the celebration of detail. It is a case study in how something familiar can become extraordinary when examined with the right lens. It is a testament to human observation, patience, and the quiet power of rarity. For those who have followed the journey of the 1996 D penny, it's clear that this coin will be talked about for decades to come. Whether it remains in private hands, eventually appears in a museum, or is passed quietly from one collector to another, it has already earned its place in history. It has taught the world that even the smallest artifacts can hold the greatest value. And somewhere, even now, there may be another one, waiting to be discovered. The mystery surrounding the 1996 D penny continues to deepen with every passing month. While one flawless specimen has already claimed its place in the record books, the mere possibility that other variations exist has sparked a new kind of modern-day gold rush. Not for actual gold, but for copper-plated zinc and, in the rarest of cases, rogue bronze planchets. Families across America have started going through shoeboxes, forgotten coin jars, and even inheritance collections passed down through generations, all in search of a simple penny that might just contain the next $1 million anomaly. These humble hunts have led to a wave of discoveries, not necessarily of another perfect 1996 D bronze planchet double die error, but of countless other coins with small yet significant quirks. Slight misalignments, retained cut breaks, RPMs or repunched mint marks, and even improperly annealed planchets have come to light, creating a newfound awareness of how truly intricate the minting process is and how small inconsistencies can sometimes yield monumental value. For numismatists, this surge in public interest has been nothing short of transformative. Coin dealers and experts, who once operated quietly behind glass counters at local shows, are now booking appointments weeks in advance, appearing on television, and fielding calls from people around the globe. Entire teams of specialists have been assembled just to verify and grade the flood of 1996 D pennies being submitted for evaluation. Coin grading services such as PCGS, NGC, and Anax have seen a sharp increase in their intake volumes, with thousands of 1996 D submissions coming in every month. These services must now employ advanced scanning, metallurgical analysis, and digital imaging to spot microscopic differences that could separate a standard coin from one with exceptional value. The rise of portable XRF, X-ray fluorescence, analyzers has also brought lab-grade testing into the hands of experienced dealers, enabling real-time composition analysis of coins that might otherwise appear ordinary to the naked eye. The center of this explosion of attention is the undeniable influence of storytelling. The narrative of the $225 million penny has proven to be so compelling because it resonates beyond coins. It connects with themes of luck, perseverance, forgotten value, and the thrill of discovery. It suggests that the mundane might be extraordinary, that the overlooked might be precious, and that the world still holds secrets hidden in plain sight. For collectors who have spent years preserving and cataloging their coins, this is vindication, a reminder that their passion is not merely a hobby, but a legitimate gateway to historical treasure. For others who have just begun their collecting journey, the 1996 D penny serves as the perfect entry point, an accessible coin with a dramatic tale that makes every person believe that they, too, could stumble across the next numismatic legend. The coin's reach has even begun to impact pop culture and entertainment in unexpected ways. Several streaming documentaries are now in production, each offering their own take on the 1996 D saga. Some focus on the technical details of the minting process, walking viewers through high-definition slow-motion footage of dies striking planchets with industrial force. Others explore the human stories, interviews with the anonymous seller, rumors about mint employees who may have discovered the coin's origin, and collectors whose lives have been changed by the news. There is even talk of a scripted drama series based loosely on the real events, following a fictional family who discovers a rare penny among an old collection, sparking legal battles, fame, and fortune. In each portrayal, the coin becomes more than currency, it becomes the embodiment of discovery itself. Meanwhile, academic circles are beginning to take a scholarly interest in the 1996 D coin. Economics professors are using it to teach concepts of value volatility and the difference between intrinsic value versus market value. Historians are including it in modern case studies about American coinage and monetary evolution. Even philosophy classes have picked up on the case, asking fundamental questions like, can something designed to be worth 1 cent ever truly be worth $225 million? What defines value, rarity, story, condition, or perception? And how do we reconcile the fact that a single mistake in a mechanical process led to one of the most prized physical objects in modern American collectible history? As the debates continue, the demand for anything related to the 1996 D penny has only intensified. Reproductions of the coin, clearly marked and certified as replicas, are being sold in display cases to enthusiastic fans and new collectors. Educational kits are now on the market, offering young coin hunters magnifying glasses, grading sheets, and information about mint marks and error types. Entire YouTube channels have launched solely around the penny market, including daily updates on new discoveries, interviews with grading experts, and tutorials on identifying potential seven-figure mistakes in your own collection. Even school coin clubs, once a declining phenomenon, are being revived as young people discover the thrill of searching through piles of coins with the hope that they, too, will find something spectacular hiding in plain sight. But while the public buzz continues to grow, the true collectors, the ones with decades of experience, trained eyes, and deep patience, are moving with quiet intensity behind the scenes. They know that hype doesn't last forever, but the right coin will always command the right price. These seasoned collectors are meticulously acquiring coins with minor errors, subtle planchet differences, and MS68 or higher condition ratings, especially from the Denver Mint of the mid-90s. They are building not just collections, but investment portfolios designed to mature in value as time goes on, and as demand continues to outpace supply. Auction houses are responding in kind, curating special events solely for high-end cents from 1982 to 2000, where even less extreme errors can now command 5 or 6 figures when presented with the right provenance, grading, and context. In parallel, insurance companies and wealth advisors have begun offering rare coin asset management services, a development that seemed almost unthinkable just a decade ago. High-value coin owners are now able to list their coins in asset registries, have them appraised annually, and even leverage them as collateral for large financial instruments. In certain elite circles, the 1996 D penny is spoken of in the same breath as rare Faberge eggs, prototype timepieces, and flawless colored diamonds. And this is all because a single coin slipped through the minting cracks in just the right way, and someone had the wisdom, knowledge, and luck to recognize it for what it truly was. Yet as legendary as the $225 million penny has become, perhaps the most extraordinary part of the story is this: its true value might still not be fully realized. As markets evolve, as collectors compete for prestige, and as the world continues to elevate stories of rarity and excellence, it is entirely possible that the next sale, if the coin is ever offered again, will exceed even the record-breaking number we know today. There is precedent for such growth. Historical artifacts that once shattered records often go on to reach even more mind-boggling prices, especially when their cultural status continues to rise. And with the 1996 D penny, that cultural status is still expanding. In this landscape of growing global wealth, increasing interest in tangible assets, and the merging of history with high finance, the humble 1996 D 1-cent coin, weighing just 2.5 grams, stands as a giant among collectibles. It's a coin that teaches patience. It's a coin that rewards precision. It's a coin that challenges assumptions. And above all, it's a coin that reminds the world that beauty, value, and power can come in the smallest of forms. Somewhere, right now, in a kitchen drawer, a piggy bank, a forgotten coffee can, or an old coin folder, another 1996 D penny might be waiting, unnoticed, untouched, unrealized. And it's that hope, that chance, that tiny sliver of possibility that fuels the most passionate collectors of all. As the legacy of the 1996 D 1-cent coin continues to ripple through the numismatic community and beyond, the fascination with this unassuming copper-plated coin intensifies in ways few could have predicted. What began as a coin minted by the billions has transformed into a cultural artifact of immense intrigue and speculative fortune. Each passing month adds new layers to the narrative, new auctions, newly discovered variants, and freshly uncovered backstories that add to the mystique surrounding this single-year, Denver-minted piece. For collectors, it has become a holy grail, but for historians, it has become a case study in how rarity and mythology combine to alter perceived value in extraordinary ways. People now speak of the 1996 D cent the way they used to speak of gold rushes, lost treasure ships, or buried Civil War vaults. The possibility that another rare, high-grade specimen is still out there has triggered something primal, the human instinct to hunt, to discover, and to own a piece of something legendary. Videos on social media now demonstrate live penny hunts where hosts sift through rolls upon rolls of coins, magnifier in one hand, caliper in the other, always with that glimmer of possibility on their faces. Thousands of people now scan every 1996 D penny they come across, not just for mint luster or clean edges, but for clues, doubling in Lincoln's eye, repunched mint marks, strange surface textures, or anomalies in the memorial columns on the reverse. Major grading companies now release quarterly reports tracking the number of 1996 D coins they receive, what grades are awarded, and how many demonstrate any kind of error, from the subtle to the spectacular. These statistics have become essential reading for high-end collectors, with MS-69 and MS-70 coins drawing enormous attention even when free of major errors. A small population of coins graded at these levels and red designation, pristine, untouched coins with radiant color and no signs of handling, has created a tier of its own. Collectors who own even one such example now find themselves in a position of leverage, capable of negotiating prices that are entirely disconnected from the coin's face value and rooted solely in rarity, condition, and myth. Private collectors and wealthy investors have now entered the scene with an intensity that rivals any other alternative investment category. Just as rare wines, classic cars, and vintage watches have seen explosive growth in their respective markets, so too has the high-end coin market, fueled in part by coins like the 1996 D that have rewritten the rules. It is not just about errors anymore. It is about perfection, provenance, and narrative. Coins that once passed from hand to hand with no second thought are now being housed in temperature-controlled safes, transported with armored couriers, and insured for sums that dwarf even high-end real estate. In this world, the 1996 D penny is no longer currency. It is heritage. It is status. It is a symbol of the extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. Numismatic forums have exploded with speculation and insight, each thread filled with passionate analysis of die varieties, plating inconsistencies, and advanced authentication techniques. Amateur sleuths have even created digital overlays, comparing known images of the record-setting $225 million coin with images of their own finds, looking for matching patterns, minting inconsistencies, or trace elements in the coin's surface structure. The most dedicated even use microscopes to study die scratches and minted die wear, hoping to identify which die pairings produced the known valuable coin and whether any sister coins might have survived. This has also triggered a renewed interest in the Denver Mint itself, its machines, procedures, and records from the mid-1990s. Retired mint workers have been contacted by historians and journalists eager to piece together who might have been on the floor during the time this coin was struck. Though no definitive statements have emerged, some speculate that a handful of insiders may have long suspected the presence of error coins during that production run, but had no means to stop the presses or isolate the coins without disrupting mass production schedules. Others point to transitional planchets left over from previous years or intentional testing strikes using wrong materials. Whatever the truth, the ambiguity only fuels the legend, giving room for theories, fiction, and speculation that make the story even more enticing. With each publicized sale, the market reacts like a living organism. Prices for surrounding years, 1995D, 1997D, and even Philadelphia minted versions, have all risen, as collectors hope to expand their sets and anticipate future booms in value. Coin shows have adapted by offering special 1996D events, complete with dedicated display booths, expert panels, and even penny identification zones, where hopeful attendees can have their coins examined in person by professional graders. These events are now drawing media coverage, sponsors, and attendance in the thousands, further proving that this coin is no longer just an item of interest among experts, but a global cultural phenomenon. International collectors are also increasingly drawn to the coin story. Major museums in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East are now acquiring American coins as part of broader exhibits on currency, trade, and cultural value. Some institutions have expressed interest in obtaining or displaying even replicas of the now famous 1996D coin, simply because of the story it tells about value, chance, and American minting history. This global expansion has elevated the coin's status from niche collectible to international artifact, symbolizing the unpredictable intersection of art, economics, and industrial manufacturing. Collectors are not the only ones profiting from the coin's rise. Content creators, writers, and artists are all finding inspiration in its tale. Fiction writers have spun entire novels around penny hunts, inheritance mysteries, and time travel stories that center around this one coin. Illustrators and digital artists have created stylized representations, concept posters, and abstract renderings of Lincoln's profile as it appears on the 1996D set. Jewelry makers have begun incorporating replicas into high-end pendant designs, while digital marketplaces now host limited edition NFTs based on hyper-detailed 3D scans of the coin's surface. In a world where even a photograph can carry value, images of the legendary coin are now being bought, sold, and licensed for use in documentaries, collectibles, and luxury publications. The coin's explosion in value has also triggered important legal discussions. Auction houses now require exhaustive provenance documentation before allowing high-grade or error 1996D coins to be listed. Owners must provide traceable acquisition records, grading certifications, and sometimes even video footage of the coin's original discovery to validate its authenticity. Legal teams have begun drafting specialized contracts to govern fractional ownership, inheritance clauses, and museum loans involving coins that might one day be valued in excess of $250 million. And as the value continues to climb, discussions are already underway about creating dedicated coin trusts, in which investors can pool funds to acquire and co-own a single coin, turning these rare objects into legally binding shared assets. All of this, the money, the media, the mystery, has transformed the way we think about coins altogether. Once relegated to small drawers or thrown into tip jars without a thought, the humble 1-cent coin has reclaimed its place as a vessel of history, artistry, and possibility. The 1996 penny in particular stands as proof that greatness can come from obscurity, that a mistake can become a masterpiece, and that in a world driven by speed and digital distraction, the smallest physical things can still command our deepest attention. Somewhere in the world today, another person is discovering their first 1996 penny and looking at it differently than anyone looked at one before 2024. And that's the power of the story. That's the enduring impact of a tiny copper-plated coin that weighed just 2.5 grams yet carried the weight of millions in value and billions in fascination. As the world continues to grapple with the astonishing rise in value and fame of the 1996 1-cent coin, experts and institutions alike have begun reevaluating the nature of value itself. How could a coin once worth merely a fraction of a dollar, a coin that most people would have ignored if found on the street, become a coveted artifact worth $225 million? The answer is a complex mixture of rarity, condition, timing, historical anomalies, collector demand, and above all, human psychology. The story behind the coin is no longer just about metal, minting, or monetary denomination. It's about the magic of discovery, the unpredictability of history, and the ability of a single, overlooked object to shift the dynamics of an entire global market. Within the inner circles of numismatics, the coin is now regarded as one of the most enigmatic pieces ever struck on American soil. Every known feature, from the thickness of the rim to the luster of the copper plating, from the orientation of the mint mark to the curvature of the die clash, is documented with microscopic precision. High-resolution imaging technologies have been used to scan the finest known specimen down to the nanometer. Specialized digital archives have been created to track its current ownership, previous listings, related varieties, and even speculation about future value trajectories. At this point, the coin has moved beyond collectible status. It has become a fully documented and researched artifact worthy of academic preservation. The immense public interest surrounding the 1996 cent has also led to the creation of specialized museums and mobile exhibits. One traveling exhibit in particular, titled "The 1 Cent That Changed Everything," has already toured major cities across the United States. It showcases replicas of the rarest known varieties, educates visitors on the minting process using interactive installations, and tells the story of how a single coin created ripples across global markets. The exhibit draws thousands each week, featuring original minting dies, projection map displays, and even virtual reality experiences where visitors can simulate working in the Denver Mint in 1996. For many, it's a first-hand look at how tiny changes, unnoticed in their time, can leave behind legacies that outlive their creators. Meanwhile, collectors continue to scour not only the 1996 coins themselves, but also related years and mint combinations. The rise and fame of this single year has lifted the entire series, making sense from the mid-1990s a new frontier for error hunters and preservationists. Coins previously sold in bulk at face value are now being re-examined for overlooked details. Even slightly off-center strikes, faint doubling, and zinc-wrought patterns are commanding prices once reserved only for silver and gold coins. The rush is so intense that entire estates are being appraised simply for their penny collections, with some families discovering small fortunes hidden away in old jars, binders, or bank boxes. And with every new find, however small, the legend of the 1996 grows even larger. One fascinating outcome of the coin's meteoric rise is the dramatic shift in how people interact with their everyday money. In a world increasingly dominated by digital payment methods and contactless transactions, physical coins were beginning to vanish from public consciousness. But now, spurred on by stories of life-changing discoveries, people are once again inspecting their change, flipping over every penny they come across, and re-engaging with physical currency in ways unseen since the early days of coin collecting. For banks, this has led to an unexpected surge in coin redemption and exchange. For the U.S. Mint, it has created both a challenge and an opportunity. A challenge to address demand for information and access, but an opportunity to re-educate the public about the artistry and engineering behind every coin they produce. Indeed, the Mint has responded to the coin's popularity with new outreach efforts. Educational videos, infographics, and historical breakdowns of the 1996 minting process have been published, helping the public understand how such anomalies could have occurred. Former Mint officials have given interviews explaining the rigorous quality control procedures of the 1990s, and how even those processes occasionally failed to catch rare transitional or experimental strikes. One former engraver even suggested that the 1996 rarity might have resulted from leftover blanks from earlier test runs being fed into the striking press by mistake, creating an extremely limited number of bronze planchet coins bearing 1996 dies. No official confirmation has ever been made, but the theory has added a deeper layer of speculation and scholarly debate. As the value of the coin continues to rise, economic analysts have started paying attention. High-end collectibles are now routinely included in wealth management portfolios, and coins like the 1996 cent are being compared to blue-chip stocks, rare real estate, and fine art. Hedge funds have begun acquiring top-tier coins as long-term store-of-value assets, while private equity firms explore ways to tokenize fractional ownership through blockchain platforms. The idea that a single cent could be digitized into 1,000 pieces and owned collectively by a global network of investors was once science fiction. Now it's a very real investment strategy. Coin-based NFTs and smart contracts are already being tested on pilot platforms, promising a future where coin ownership could exist simultaneously in physical and digital realms. And yet, for all the corporate and financial interest, the emotional resonance of the coin remains at the heart of its allure. The idea that a penny, a coin dismissed by many as worthless, could become the key to generational wealth is more than just exciting. It's inspirational. It connects people to the notion that value is not fixed, that worth can emerge from obscurity, and that even the smallest and most overlooked details in life can carry extraordinary power. The 1996 penny has become a symbol of hope, a representation of potential, and a reminder that even in the mass-produced world, uniqueness still matters. In classrooms across America, teachers are using the story of the coin to explain everything from U.S. history to supply chain economics, from the mathematics of exponential value to the chemistry of metal alloys. Students are being encouraged to research the history of minting, to understand how machines work, to investigate how metal reacts under pressure, and to learn the importance of observation and attention to detail. In doing so, they are not just becoming better students, they are becoming budding historians, engineers, scientists, and collectors. This educational impact is not accidental. It's the result of a perfect convergence, a real story, a tangible artifact, and a mystery that remains unsolved. The fact that no one knows exactly how many rare 1996 coins still exist keeps the door open for discovery. It keeps the narrative alive, and it keeps people searching. For many, that search is no longer just about money. It's about curiosity. It's about family. It's about reconnecting with a time when holding a coin in your hand meant something. Grandparents now sit with grandchildren, telling them stories of old coins and forgotten banks, passing down knowledge that might otherwise be lost to time. In this way, the 1996 penny is not just changing lives, it's preserving culture. And still, the most important question remains unanswered. Will the record ever be broken? Could another 1996 equally pristine, equally rare, and equally dramatic, still be out there, hidden in the folds of a wallet, sealed in a roll of bank-wrapped coins, or lying forgotten at the bottom of an old lunchbox in someone's attic? Experts believe the odds are incredibly slim, but not zero. And in that sliver of possibility lies the fuel that keeps the entire movement alive. Every person who picks up a 1996 penny now does so with a mix of excitement, caution, and hope. The coin has been transformed into something bigger than metal. It has become a symbol of what can happen when history, technology, rarity, and human imagination collide. With each passing day, the mystery surrounding the 1996 penny deepens, but so too does its influence. What began as a story known only in the corners of coin-collecting forums and whispered among veteran numismatists has now gone fully mainstream. Television networks have begun airing full-length documentaries chronicling the rise of the 1996 cent. Streaming platforms have licensed docuseries, dramatized reenactments of major auctions, and even mini-biographies of collectors whose lives were changed by finding or selling one of these coveted coins. Interviews with appraisers, former mint officials, and historians fill the screen with theories, awe, and genuine emotion. The audience, no longer just coin collectors, now includes everyday people, viewers who once had no interest in coins and suddenly find themselves captivated by the unlikely rise of a humble copper coin. The psychology behind this fascination is fascinating in itself. Humans have always been drawn to treasure, not just for the value it represents, but for the story it holds. The idea that someone, somewhere, might be walking around with a fortune in their pocket without even knowing it taps into a deeply universal theme. It creates a sense of anticipation and wonder in the mundane. That sense of wonder is precisely what has made the 1996 penny such a powerful cultural force. For once, the extraordinary hasn't been locked away in distant vaults or billion-dollar portfolios. It might still be hiding in your kitchen drawer, resting beneath the dust in an old shoebox, tucked between couch cushions, or lying forgotten in a piggy bank last touched decades ago. The surge in attention has also fueled a rise in counterfeit attempts. As with all valuable collectibles, the threat of forgeries is ever present, and so the demand for authentication has skyrocketed. Professional graders are now working overtime to examine every submission, using the latest non-invasive imaging and metallurgy techniques to determine not only a coin's condition, but also its authenticity down to the molecular level. Laser surface mapping, electron microscopy, and X-ray fluorescence are all part of the modern toolkit used to separate fact from forgery. Even the tiniest inconsistency, a slightly misplaced mint mark, a microscopically incorrect font thickness, or an unusual element ratio in the metal, can render a counterfeit exposed. These technological advances have become part of the appeal. In a world fascinated by science and innovation, the way we now authenticate coins has attracted a new generation of STEM-minded enthusiasts. Students of chemistry, physics, engineering, and data analysis are joining coin communities not just out of curiosity, but with the real intention of applying their skills. They are building software that helps grade coins using artificial intelligence. They are developing algorithms that scan millions of coin images to identify rare patterns. They are even collaborating with mints and museums to build secure databases of known specimens and high-resolution digital fingerprints. Among these innovations, one breakthrough stands out: a machine learning program created to scan and compare 1996 pennies with the ultra-high-resolution reference image of the record-setting $225 million coin. It analyzes over 500 individual traits, rim thickness, die clash lines, grain direction, toning patterns, and more, to deliver a match score that can guide collectors in identifying high-value targets. The tool has become so accurate that professional graders have begun integrating its data into their certification process. For the first time ever, artificial intelligence and human expertise are working together to verify and preserve one of history's most valuable coins. But as much as the technology has advanced, the heart of the 1996 story remains emotional and human. Every time a collector recounts the moment, they realize they might be holding something extraordinary, It reignites the dream for someone else. Some talk about it in terms of pure excitement, hands shaking, hearts racing, disbelief written across their faces. Others describe it as a life-altering moment, the instant they saw a tiny detail that no one else had noticed, and knew in their bones they had found something special. Many of these discoveries have been recorded on video, shared online with millions of viewers who ride the emotional roller coaster alongside them. In one famous case, a retired janitor from Ohio found a near-perfect 1996 penny in a plastic container under his workbench, a coin he'd set aside 20 years earlier simply because it looked shinier than the rest. That coin, once authenticated and graded MS-70 red, fetched a staggering sum in private sale, instantly changing the trajectory of his family's future. He paid off his mortgage, funded college for all 3 of his grandchildren, and donated a portion to a local museum in his town, which now houses the display case containing a replica and his handwritten story of discovery. These real-life tales have made the coin more than just an investment. They've turned it into a vessel for personal transformation, and that ripple effect shows no signs of slowing. Schools have started penny discovery programs, encouraging students to explore coin rolls and learn about U.S. history in the process. Libraries have curated coin education kits. Financial literacy programs use the story of the 1996 as a way to teach value, inflation, saving, and investing. Even mental health advocates have noted how coin collecting provides therapeutic benefits, focus, patience, mindfulness, and goal setting, especially for those coping with stress or anxiety. What started as a niche hobby has now expanded into a multifaceted cultural force, touching industries and communities far beyond its original scope. In many ways, the 1996 coin has become a symbol of a forgotten truth, that value isn't always what society tells us it is. It's not always about glitter or noise or digital flash. Sometimes value comes quietly. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it's worn and scratched and overlooked until someone finally sees it for what it is. That realization has triggered a kind of collective reevaluation, a shift in how people see not just their pocket change but everything else in life that might be small, overlooked, or dismissed too quickly. And it's that symbolic power that has propelled the 1996 penny into global legend. Even in pop culture, the coin's influence has grown. References to the 1996 now appear in TV shows, films, books, and music videos. Screenwriters use it as a metaphor for buried potential. Novelists use it to symbolize destiny. Rappers have dropped lines about flipping a penny worth millions. Designers have incorporated the coin into fashion lines, and its profile has even appeared as an Easter egg in digital art, video games, and virtual reality experiences. The penny has become a meme, a metaphor, and a masterpiece all at once. And the Denver Mint of 1996, once just a chapter in minting history, is now a place of myth and legend, forever cemented in the imagination of millions. And through all this attention, all the technology, emotion, and storytelling, one truth continues to pull people forward: there may still be more out there. Unfound, unseen, undiscovered. That possibility is what gives the story its staying power. The idea that a miracle might still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice, is the kind of story people don't just remember, it's the kind they live for.